The movie starts in Russia with a family of 3 hanging out by a river. The youngest, Sergei Alyoshkov, brags to his older brother and mom about climbing a tree. Suddenly, German fighter jets fly overhead. Mom tells them to hide in the bushes fast, but the 6-year-old isn't afraid. He shoots a slingshot at a jet and amazingly hits it, making it explode. But when he looks around, his family is gone. Sergei wakes up scared from his dream and calls for his mom. Just then, there's a knock at his door. Thinking it's his mom, he rushes to open it, but it's a neighbor lady who rushes in, looking really worried. She's thankful he's okay, but tells him his mom and brothers are dead. The little boy can't understand what she's saying and insists on staying to wait for his mom. The lady explains that the Germans attacked and he needs to run away. Just then, soldiers show up at their house. She helps Sergei escape through the window, but she gets shot before she can leave too. The little 6-year-old is now all by himself, with no family or friends around. As Sergei rushes away from his burning home, he looks back and sees his whole neighborhood on fire. He calls for his mother, but she doesn't answer, so he keeps running. After a while, he finds himself in the middle of a big forest. Feeling lost and scared, he calls for his mom again, hoping she'll hear him and come to get him. That night, he sleeps in the woods. The next morning, he drinks water from a river when he spots enemy soldiers coming his way. Knowing they're dangerous, he quickly hides among the roots of a tree. A snake slithers close by, but he stays silent, more afraid of the soldiers than the snake. The soldiers eat near the river and then leave. Sergei finds their leftover food and eats it for dinner. But after not having a proper meal for 2 days and walking aimlessly, he's exhausted. He falls down but keeps moving forward. Along the way, he spots wild berries and eats them. Suddenly, there's an explosion behind him, catching him off guard. Feeling dizzy, he starts hallucinating someone approaching him from behind. Despite his fear, he bravely claims to have a rifle and not be scared. He continues limping forward but eventually collapses and loses consciousness. While Sergei is asleep, 2 soldiers find him. The scene changes to the Russian army base where Commander Kuznetsov is waiting for his patrol soldiers. They arrive with the injured and weak little boy. When the soldiers assure they're on his side, Sergei opens up and introduces himself. The soldiers laugh when he shakes hands with the commander, suggesting he introduces himself too. They feel fond of the little boy and gather around him. They give him water to drink and feed him. Even the usually stern commander shows care for him. Katya, the nurse, gently tends to Sergei's wounds, finding herself charmed by his lively spirit. The young lad, full of determination, asks Katya to doodle a tank on his injuries, expressing his big dream of becoming a soldier one day. Amidst the solemnity of the wounded soldiers, Sergei's presence brings a moment of brightness, lifting their spirits as they chat with him. Intrigued by the commander's impressive gun and shiny badge, Sergei bombards him with questions, to which the commander kindly responds. Eventually, with careful consideration, the commander allows Sergei to handle his honorary pistol, ensuring it's unloaded for safety. Sergei proudly displays the tank drawing on his stomach, boasting of his own soldierly ambitions. Remarkably, the young boy's wounds are healing swiftly. Nurse Katya appeals to the commander, urging him to permit Sergei to remain with the battalion. However, the commander, prioritizing Sergei's safety, insists on sending him to an orphanage. Despite this decision, the soldiers continue to devote their free time to Sergei. They visit him frequently throughout the day, bringing him food sent by their families from distant places and graciously allowing him to explore their binoculars. One day, a soldier talks to the commander to let a boy stay with the battalion. The soldiers really like the boy and feel close to him. They see him like family. Having the boy around helps them feel less worried about the war. But the commander wants to send the boy to an orphanage to keep him safe. The next day, the enemies attack and many soldiers get hurt. A vehicle arrives to take the boy, Sergei, to the orphanage. The commander tells Sergei about it and gives him a wooden honorary pistol as a present. Sergei hugs the commander, saying he's scared for the commander's safety. The commander feels touched and changes his mind. He asks Sergei to stay with the soldiers as his son. That night, the soldiers search for small soldier clothes for the boy. They are very happy that Sergei will be staying with them. The commander wakes Sergei up and gives him the clothes. He puts them on and runs around, looking like a true soldier. The others start calling him their little soldier boy. While the kid is playing, the Germans attack the battalion from the air. The soldiers swiftly take Sergei to a safe spot and battle the attackers. The number of hurt soldiers increases quickly. Sergei wants to help, so he brings water to thirsty soldiers. One of them asks him to read a letter from his family because he can't see with a bandage over his eyes. The little boy wants to assist but doesn't know how to read. He takes the letter and starts saying things he imagines are written on it, like the soldier's cow being safe back home. When the soldier says he doesn't own a cow, the others suggest he play along and they all laugh. Sergei reads everyone else's letters in the same way, and it cheers them up. In the next scene, Katia and the commander have a conversation. They seem to like each other, but they don't admit their feelings. Later, Sergei tells the commander that he's in charge of organizing things in the battalion and starts calling himself an orderly. But then, the boy sees one of the soldiers' stations destroyed from the attack. The commander teaches him to take his hat off as a sign of respect for the soldier who died. The next day, Sergei asks the commander for a task and is assigned to deliver letters to the soldiers. He finishes it quickly and even convinces the soldiers to dance for him. The day after, Sergei wanders a bit away from the base with his binoculars. While playing with them, he notices movement from inside a haystack. He hurries back to the battalion and tells the soldiers what he saw. They're doubtful but follow him. When they approach the haystack, they find 2 German spies hiding under it. The spies are captured, and Sergei is praised for being smart. That night, the commander shows Sergei adoption papers. Now he's officially the commander's son. Sergei knows the commander likes Katia, so he encourages him to confess his feelings to her. But they see her talking to another man and mistakenly think she's interested in him. The Germans attack the base again. This time, Sergei helps the soldiers by giving them ammunition. But the soldiers on the front line tell him it's too dangerous and ask him to go back to the shed. In the shed, Sergei sees the commander and others worried because they lost contact with the colonel on the phone. A soldier is sent to fix the wires. Sergei follows him and finds the soldier badly hurt. He asks the soldier how to fix the wires and does it himself. The connection is restored and more troops are called in. The 6-year-old boy saves everyone's lives. Later, the commander and Katia talk by the river. The commander finally tells Katia he loves her and asks her to be Sergei's mother. Katia is very happy, but before she can respond, a soldier interrupts them with a letter saying they've been called away from the base. The next day, all the soldiers, including Sergei, leave for their new base. But on the way, they run into a minefield that blows up some of their vehicles. The commander gets hurt, and the orderly, who Sergei was close to, dies in the explosion. Sergei cries and hugs the commander. They take the injured with them and keep going to the new base. When they arrive, they meet the commander's leader, the general. He's also impressed by the kid and congratulates the commander for having such a clever kid. The next day, their division receives a guard's banner, and so does the boy. He promises to defend his country when the general gives him his badge. One night, their base is attacked fiercely, and the commander gets trapped under the rubble. Sergei cries for his father and tries to rescue him. He calls the other soldiers, who eventually free the commander. The following day, Sergei checks on the injured commander. His hands were hurt while trying to save him. The kid is now a vital part of the team. He doesn't have any family besides them and moves with them wherever they go in the war. The movie ends as the regiment moves to another base. A voice in the background narrates that Sergei even took part in the Stalingrad battle and reached Poland with the soldiers. He's now known as the world's youngest soldier ever, and his legendary story of bravery is spread worldwide for everyone to hear. In this way, movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more interesting movie recaps.